I also wanted to show you this jig a little bit closer too. This is nothing more than a piece of 1/4 inch threaded bar. It's 1/4 20 thread. Got a simple wing nut, and this is, I don't know, about 5 inches long, and got the caps and a piece of hollow tubing that I use as an insert, and then 2 nuts in here, one of them serving as a lock nut so it gives me the length that I want, and the back end here can be used to grab it in the vise. And these caps are nothing more than a piece of hollow tubing, much like this one, but of a larger diameter, of course. Let me see if I can measure these. Alright, so these are yeah, just over a half inch in diameter. So 17/16. But it's just a piece of tubing cut off, and I cut this on a lathe, but you can do it any way you want to. The trick is you want this very, very flat on this surface, because that's what's going to give you the guidelines when you start your filing. And if it's off a little bit one way or the other, then it'll show up here too. Your end pieces here will not have a nice even ring size. But if you've got somebody with a lathe or some way to cut this off very carefully, that's great. But I cut mine off a little longer than I needed, and then I simply silver soldered, or you can braze, washer on the end, and then drill it out so that the 1/4 inch rod will go through it neatly. And these are, total length is 1/4 inch, and that includes the thickness of the washer. So when you use these, put the tube on, set the thimble in place, and you can see how this it'll wobble a little bit. When you got the tube on, it won't do quite as much, but the tube inside helps to keep it centered, but it also gives you something, a little bit of a backing when you go to file and polish in the center. And you can make those tubes whatever size you need, depending on what diameter of thimble you're making. The other cap goes on the other end. Of course, I've got this turned around backwards. But then put your thread nut, your thumb screw, in place and hold everything in place. And that is a great little jig if you plan to make more than one set of thimbles. This is a real quick and easy way to make a jig that'll help you file each one the same. So that's pretty much it for that. Not terribly difficult to make, and like I said, it'll just make your life a little bit easier. There we go. So just makes your life a little bit easier to have a jig there if you're planning to produce a number of these. It just makes your life a little bit easier if you plan to produce a number of thimbles. And when you're using this on the entry thimble, it's not too difficult either. What I do with the entry thimble is simply use it without the cup on one end, and you would put your insert in there and the cup on the other end, and it'll hold it in there. And this one you'll have to self-guide using a scribed line. but the other end you'll still have the stop there to work by.